Howdy, folks. I'm Irresistible Ice Cream, icily icing idle individuals.
I'm Amber.
And here are more idle individuals for us to ice. As you can see, there's a cherry on top of me because I'm irresistible. There used to be other things on top of this headband, but they've since been gone.
Yes, it was 5 of those little cream and cherry poofs. I was making like the chocolate cake from Lilo and Stitch, a Disney bound of that, but it all fell apart.
Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My Sister that she deserved to lose her job after sabotaging mine? Okay, this is going to be long, and I know emotions are running high, but I'm at a loss here and could really use an outside perspective. I have an older sister, Rachel. Growing up, we were pretty close, and even though we had our fair share of sibling fights, I always admired her. Rachel is the golden child in our family. Super smart, talented, and always the center of attention. I was always the quieter, more reserved one. Well, fast forward to adulthood. Rachel got into a prestigious college and went into finance, making good money early on. Meanwhile, I struggled for a bit, bouncing from job to job, never quite sure what I wanted to do. Eventually, I found my passion in graphic design. I went back to school. I worked hard to land a great position at a marketing firm last year. For once, I felt like I was on equal footing with my sister, and I was really proud of myself. My parents were proud too, though they were still obviously more focused on Rachel and her success. Well, here's where things take a turn. About 6 months ago, Rachel lost her job due to the company downsizing. It was tough on her, and I tried to be there for her as much as possible. But during that time, she became bitter and resentful, constantly making passive-aggressive comments about how easy my job must be compared to hers and how graphic design wasn't real work. It hurt, but I bit my tongue because I knew that she was going through a rough patch. Then, 3 months ago, a major project came up at my job. It was a huge deal, and if I nailed it, it would mean a big promotion. I was under a lot of pressure, and while I was working late one night, Rachel called and asked to hang out. I explained how stressed I was, and she brushed it off, saying she could help me blow off some steam, and that I was making too big of a deal out of the project. Again, I bit my tongue. I didn't want to cause a fight, but I could feel myself starting to resent her attitude. The next day, I come home from a long day at work and my laptop is gone. I freaked out because all of my files for the project were on it. Yeah, I know I should have backed them up elsewhere, but I was overwhelmed. I called Rachel and she admitted that she had borrowed it to, quote, teach me a lesson about not prioritizing family over work. She said that she would return it in a few hours, but by then it was too late and I missed an important deadline, and the whole project got scrapped. I was devastated. I confronted her, and she was unapologetic, saying that I was letting work take over my life and that I needed to chill. I lost my temper, and I told her that she was selfish and that she didn't understand what it was like to fight for every opportunity like I had. In the end, I didn't get the promotion, and my boss even questioned my reliability. I was heartbroken, and I felt like I had to start over from square one. Fast forward to last week, Rachel was still unemployed and struggling to find something in her field. We were at a family dinner when my parents started asking Rachel about her job search. She was venting about how unfair the job market is and how nobody would hire her. I don't know what came over me, but I snapped. I said, maybe you deserve to be unemployed after sabotaging my career. The whole table went silent. Rachel started crying, my parents freaked out at me for kicking her while she was down, and I stormed out. Since then, I've been getting constant texts from my parents saying that I should apologize, but I can't bring myself to do it. I feel like she never faced any consequences for what she did to me, and for once, I just wanted her to feel the weight of her actions. But now I'm wondering if I went too far. She is still my sister, and she's clearly struggling, but I can't get over how she ruined my career moment and didn't even feel bad about it. So, am I the jerk for what I said? Should I have kept my mouth shut even though she hurt me so deeply? Or was I justified in finally standing up for myself after all these years of feeling overshadowed? Alright folks, what do you think?
I mean, I don't think Opie's in the wrong for speaking up. Like, yeah, it wasn't kind, but it seems like the sister has never had to deal with the consequences of this. What she did was deeply wrong. Like, Opie could have pursued criminally, like if her sister stole her laptop. They probably wouldn't have done anything because she did return it eventually, but like, she took another person's property and sabotaged their chances at a promotion, and that's not okay.
I'm wondering if OP talked to their boss about the situation and explained what happened. And I mean, certainly like deadlines are deadlines, and I know that sometimes things are very, very tight, but OP could have explained to their boss that their sister sabotaged them, literally sabotaged them, right? And maybe that would have allowed a little bit more flexibility in explaining the situation, that their laptop was stolen, right? And because your boss is a human as well, and they understand that sometimes things go wrong. And to me, that seems really strange that they were so hard on this deadline, that they couldn't have any room for wiggling at all, right? Especially if it was a big, important project. Now, maybe it was because there was like a big presentation that had to happen, and since OP's stuff didn't arrive on time, they couldn't do the presentation. I don't know. I don't know the details of that. I'm not blaming OP here, but I think that they maybe could have talked to their boss about the situation and explained that they're not unreliable. It's just that their sister has stolen their stuff. Now, as for the sister and what she did, I think that she deserved to face some kind of consequences. I think OP should have threatened to call the cops when she stole the laptop and said, return my laptop now, or I'm calling the police and they're going to return it for you, right? And in that moment, OP could have gotten their laptop back, potentially. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Rugby Lock says, you're severely underreacting to this. Not the jerk, your sister is an awful person, and you should have reported her to the police for theft. Go no contact with your garbage family. And OP replies, garbage family is accurate, and you're not wrong. I'm moving out as soon as I can, and honestly, I just want to go. Good for OP. I think that if they get their own place with their own locks on their doors, hopefully their sister can't steal their laptop again, you know?
Yeah.
And Atlas El Paro says, I would have reported the laptop as stolen. She even admitted to stealing it, stopping a pushover. You can also sue her if it affected your career, and you can prove it with a good lawyer, and it will mess her up bad. And OP replies, she could easily say she borrowed it from my room and planned to return it. I thought about this along the line, but I can't call the cops on her, and I have my job, and I will be promoted at another time, and I'm moving out real soon, so I'm basically just counting my days. I think OP is being far too charitable here. Well, and I also want to talk about like the sister's attitude towards work, right? Like the sister keeps trying to pressure OP to, go out late or all these kinds of things. Maybe her work attitude is really what caused her to lose her job when the company downsized, right? And maybe she's just been so used to being the golden child and getting everything her way that she didn't take her job or her responsibility seriously enough. So I think that maybe her attitude here is kind of indicative of maybe her work attitude in general.
Yeah, well, and that's a good point, because a lot of times, not a lot of times, but sometimes when someone has always had everything handed to them, they don't develop the work ethic they need, and they don't, necessarily work as hard as they should.
Yeah, exactly. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for breaking up with my boyfriend because he refused to hold his sister accountable for violating my privacy? I'm a 26-year-old female, and I was with my boyfriend, Jake, a 29-year-old male, for 3 years. He's always been close to his sister, Laura, a 31-year-old female, who has a history of wild behavior and poor decisions. From the start, I accepted that she was part of the package, but she's tested my patience countless times. She would borrow my things without asking, show up unannounced, and even once crashed on our couch for a week after an argument with her latest boyfriend. Jake would always excuse her behavior, saying that she was trying her best, or that she's family, so we should be patient. A couple of months ago, Laura crossed the line. I left my laptop out while we had a small gathering at our apartment. While I was busy in the kitchen, she decided to snoop through my work files and discovered a confidential document that I had been working on. Without asking, she took screenshots and shared parts of it on social media as a funny post, adding snarky comments. This document contains sensitive information referring to a major project, and her post did serious damage to my professional reputation. I was horrified when I found out, but Laura just shrugged it off, saying that I shouldn't leave things laying around if they're important. She thought that it was hilarious and refused to take it down until I threatened to report the post. When I demanded that Jake back me up and set firm boundaries, he refused. He said that I was overreacting and that I needed to give her a break. He insisted that, yes, Laura was wrong, but family forgives, and I needed to quote-unquote let it go. It did not matter to him that her actions had real consequences for my career. He was more worried about how this would make family gatherings awkward. I felt totally unsupported and betrayed. After weeks of arguing, I told Jake that I couldn't stay with someone who couldn't even stand up for me when his sister was clearly wrong. He accused me of being cold-hearted and putting my petty grudge over our relationship. I ended it, and now he's telling everyone that I chose my career over love, and that I'm abandoning him for something that's not even that serious. Even his family has been reaching out, calling me selfish for not giving her room to grow. But I can't shake the feeling that this was more than just a mistake, but about loyalty and respect. Am I the jerk for ending things over this? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. He is prioritizing comfort at family functions and his sister's happiness over OP's job.
Yeah.
You know, his loyalty, like, yes, of course, your nuclear family you grew up in is still your family. You still should care about them. But his sister is actively sabotaging his partner. That's definitely a time when you step in and take your partner's side and start setting boundaries with your sister to enforce that this kind of thing doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
The problem is people have let his sister get away with this behavior for a long time. There have never been any consequences, so of course she's going to keep doing it.
Well, I also want to point out that Laura is 31. OP is 26, right? Laura has had plenty of time to grow up and learn that this is inappropriate behavior. She's 31. She knows better than to break into someone's laptop, steal confidential information, and post it online. If I were OP, I would report her to the police, right? Sue her for, damages or something like that. Tell your company that she did this and maybe they can sue her. I don't know. She needs real consequences for this action. And I mean, I hate to throw the hammer of judgment down on her, but she is old enough to know better here.
Certainly, yeah. Like, you bring up a good point that, like, we're not talking about like a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Who doesn't understand the seriousness of posting confidential information.
Yeah.
Someone who is 31 is well aware of the kind of potential repercussions there.
Yeah, and like you said, if this had been a 15-year-old and OP was freaking out about this, maybe this would be a little bit of a different situation where, people should say, you have to have a little bit of patience with her, she's 15. I still don't think that a 15-year-old should be doing that and should know better,
and there
right?
should be consequences still.
Like she would get grounded or something like that, right? But there's no consequences here. She's not facing any consequences, and it's clear that she's never faced consequences if she's 31 years old and still acting like a 15-year-old.
And
right?
everyone's still sheltering her. Like, every time she does this, everyone's like, oh, she just needs to grow. That's not how people grow. Like, when you let them get away with bad behavior, they have no incentive to change.
Yeah. So I think that OP absolutely did the right thing by leaving this relationship because things weren't going to get better. She is never going to grow up as long as people are stopping her from growing up.
And OP, you did not end this relationship over work. Like, you're not choosing work over a relationship. You ended this because you were being unsupported. Because your partner was letting his sister sabotage you.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Why is it that every guy in these posts is named Jake? I just want to make an observation for a moment. It's always Jake. Jake is like the most popular fake name for these posts.
It changes. For a while, it was James.
Yeah.
Maybe it's one too many State Farm ads.
Yeah. It's Jake from State Farm. He's doing all these terrible things. And Strange Way says, not the jerk, don't waste your breath or time to try to reason with them. Your reaction was extremely mild, and even when the matter escalated into serious considerations about your relationship, it was mild. His sister is 31 years old and is likely used to being absolved by her family for her antics. And on the topic of your family, your boyfriend of 3 years made it very clear that he doesn't consider you family at all, as consideration for family only concerns his precious sister. He can be in a relationship with her and his mommy. And OP replies, I did feel like I handled it pretty calmly, even though what she did was so beyond disrespectful. You're spot on about Laura getting used to having a free pass. It feels like her whole family just tiptoes around her bad behavior, and I was expected to do the same. And yes, the way he kept talking about family made me realize that I would never be considered part of it unless I put up with her behavior like everyone else did. If that's what it takes, I'm glad that I'm out. And Deleted says, she's 31 years old. How much more room does she need to grow? And how can she grow when she's constantly being enabled, not the jerk? And OP replies, that's what I'm thinking. At 31, she's well past the age where growing should still mean trampling all over other people's boundaries. It feels like she never actually learned if everyone around her just keeps making excuses. Jake acted like I was heartless for not letting this slide, but to me, it's about respect and accountability. If he keeps enabling her, I don't know how anything would ever change. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, My Best Friend Stole My Dream Job and Acted Like It Was No Big Deal. I'm still in shock, and I need to get this off my chest. A few months ago, I found the perfect job. Something that I've been working towards for years. I told my best friend about it, super excited, and even helped her with her own job search at the time. Out of nowhere, she applies for the exact job that I was going for. Didn't tell me and got it. I only found out when she casually mentioned it over lunch. Like it was no big deal. She didn't even apologize, just said that it was too good to pass up. I feel so betrayed. I haven't confronted her fully, but I honestly don't know if I can ever trust her again. I'm torn between staying friends and cutting her off. Am I overreacting, or is this messed up as it feels? All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, this seems very sus. If she's never had interest in this type of job before and only got interested when OP did, and sometimes people do apply for the same job as someone they're close to. But usually you do that openly and talk about it and talk about how this will change the relationship if one of you or the other gets the job. It doesn't sound like she was being a good friend. And in fact, it kind of sounds like she was maybe trying to one up OP or, take this thing.
Yeah, I mean, my big problem here is that I feel like she went out of her way to sabotage OP or betray OP, right? Now, I mean, I can understand her being excited about the job opportunity, but I think that OP told her in confidence that she was applying for this job. OP didn't tell her so that she could apply for this job. OP told her because OP was excited for the opportunity to get potentially be able to get this job, right?
Yeah, well, it sounds like OP was even helping her apply to other jobs too.
So OP went above and beyond being a good friend to help her find other work. And what does she do? She, says, oh, I'm going to take and take and take. You give some people an inch, they try to take a mile, right? And I mean, in this case, it feels like that's what this friend did. They chose to, basically end the friendship because of their own, greed, essentially, right?
Well, I think at this point in time, it is important that the friendship does end, because if OP doesn't end the friendship now, what else is she going to do? Steal your baby name? Try and steal your partner?
Yeah, I mean, any number of things here. I think that this was one of those situations where it'd be really hard to come back from. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And House Monkey 23 says, just leave it. It's a pretty terrible thing to do. And OP replies, I can't. She knows how much I needed this job. Maybe I'll stop talking to her. And Tangled Up in Blue says, the only thing shady here to me is that she didn't tell you. That means she felt guilty and was trying to underplay everything. If you're in the same field, you're going to be applying for the same jobs. Nothing wrong with that. You can't expect her not to apply for a job that likely has many applicants. She needs work too. She definitely should have told you guys so you could hash it out though. What do you think of that comment?
I mean, I think that if she was really desperate for a job, she would have been more transparent, and if she's qualified enough to get the job that OP was shooting for, then she's probably plenty qualified to get other jobs as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's really unfortunate because I really do feel like this is a betrayal. And I think that OP told her about this job opportunity, not for her to apply for it, but because OP was excited for it.
Right. And again, to be perfectly clear, OP isn't owed the job.
No.
And there's, no reason why the friend, like the friend isn't barred from applying to the job. But in friendships, you do have some kind of like agreed upon or unspoken rules a lot of times of conduct where, you know, again, if you're doing something that might significantly adverse your other friend, you're at least going to talk through it and be transparent.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if she had come across this job listing on her own and applied for it, then that would have been a little bit of a different situation. But because she used information that OP had, she really should have talked to OP about it first, right? And said, you know, I know that you really have your heart set on this job, but I would like to apply to it as well because I feel like this is a really great opportunity, right? And the fact that she's kind of like sneaking around behind OP's back, again, kind of shows that she feels guilty and knows that what she did wasn't great. Kind of feels like that comic book one that we read a little while ago where the person, like, you know, grabs the comic book off the shelf right as OP was trying to buy it.
Needed. It does. It has that vibe. And there are people like that who claim to be your friend, but then really just want to do, like, one-up you all the time.
Yeah. All right, folks, it's tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
Did you hear about the ghost who went to the drugstore to buy a box of Band-Aids?
I did. They were severely injured. They fell down the stairs twice, and they went and got bandages because they had a boo-boo.
Yeah, he had a lot of boo-boos.
And I have the special guest tea. Today, I have the matcha. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday. I can't believe it. It's the end of the week. Wow. I'm glad you made it. I did too. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on betrayal.
Don't betray your partner. Don't betray your friends.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty easy one right there. Don't betray your partners and don't betray your friends or family or loved ones.
Yeah, in general, don't betray people.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.